Welcome to the Off the Track Initiative podcast, the podcast dedicated to bringing a more modern, conscious perspective to the re-educating and rehabilitating of off-the-track thoroughbreds. My name is Kate Moran, ex-thoroughbred racing steward, dressage enthusiast and thoroughbred advocate. Each month I will be sharing with you inspirational stories and knowledge from a variety of professionals who are on a mission to make a difference within the equestrian world. This month, we chat with Cristelle Capitani, the Director of Autism Horses Australia. Cristelle runs her program from Western Australia, and unfortunately throughout this chat we did experience some technical difficulties, and part of the audio is missing, unfortunately, so you'll pick us up halfway through our chat where we're discussing how Cristelle's idea for Autism Horses Australia came from, and I really hope you enjoy this chat as much as I did.
So seeing them together, that was the best light bulb moment I could ever have, because I realised I could help my children, and already knowing a lot of other parents with children on the spectrum and having had plenty of conversations about sensory avoidant and sensory seeking children, I knew I was onto something. So I started just simple activities. It is such a simple idea that even just allowing the child time to walk beside the horse. And so then I met people. I started studying in the areas of natural horsemanship and liberty, and obviously realised I am not an expert. I am a counsellor, and so I got on board trainers and people that are experts in those areas who train me and still train me to keep me the best at what we are trying to achieve here and what we're doing. And it went from there. We developed a 6-month training program for the horse. So I came at our head trainer with all these ideas of it would be amazing if the children could sit in an open area and the horses could come running in, and she quickly stopped me there and said safety first, and helped me tweak the therapeutic goals alongside how horse relates, interacts, what we need to be aware of safety-wise, and we just refined the program, and so here we are today.
Yeah, and so I think maybe going back a few steps, I mean, a lot of people would have heard of autism and know a little bit about it, but maybe might not be that well informed. Are you able to just tell us a little bit more about autism, and especially that in children?
Sure. Autism is a neurological disorder which is characterised by 3 specific areas of challenge, and that is repetitive or restricted behaviours, social functioning, and communication. So those 3 areas of challenge are also categorised by their level of severity. So we have level 1, which is the most mild expression of those characteristics or traits, where they're needing the least amount of daily assistance to complete everyday living tasks. Level 2, needing medium or moderate amounts of help, and then level 3, which is quite a severe expression of those traits and needing consistent help to fulfill everyday living tasks. And then we also have all of those considerations into a sensory avoidant profile or a sensory seeking profile, where the specific challenge will result in that child or that adult either needing to achieve feedback out of their environment, or their environment is experienced by them as being so overwhelming that they will tend to avoid any extra stimulation. So whereas a neurotypical person, we're primarily in our cognition and our thoughts, a person on the spectrum is primarily in their senses.
Okay. Right. And so
they
sorry, you go.
Thanks. They experience the world as a combination of sensations, and each person on the spectrum will have a completely different expression of that. No person on the spectrum is the same. And even my own two sons, one of them is a sensory seeker and the other is sensory avoidant. And then they have all of their own individual expressions. For example, some of the things my son will do to seek stimulation is to bang his head or to stim. And stimming is also expressed differently by, they can sing, or echolalia, which is where they produce the same vocal responses and sounds over and over again. So effectively, therapy for a person on the spectrum is to help them to function in their everyday life so that they can just complete tasks. It's about the ability to function independently.
And so prior to anything like your Autism Horses Australia, what sort of therapies were out there for children?
The most standard therapy is emotional therapy, which teaches them fine and gross motor skills, school readiness. And then you have a psychologist. A psychologist helps with those restricted and repetitive behaviours. And then we also have speech therapists, because a lot of people on the spectrum vary in degrees of their ability to speak. So you'll have some people mute, do not communicate at all, and other people that do not speak well or have certain problems around their speech and communication. Those are the three big therapies that people will use for autism challenges. But then you've also got music therapy and this new discipline of ours, equine therapy.
Yeah, right. And so
the people are using.
Yeah, going a little bit more into your program now then that you started, tell us about the early days and how it progressed to what it is now.
The early days was me using my own children as guinea pigs, which was very lucky for me. And I think one of the biggest things was that our horses live with us. So we didn't have to go off-site. Our horses have always been, we're a herd. We're part of the herd. And so they're receiving all this training just by being around us and hearing my children scream and seeing my children stim and just being part of that and being desensitized to that. That was a big a training that they received without me having to pay the trainer.
And so then when did you
the early
when did you then realize how effective it was, and what were the next steps in then sort of acquiring horses and then expanding?
So we had Clark, who was my pet, that I realized something was on there, and then we got Rocky, and they were both still riding horses, but we began and experimenting on them. My first big moment of realising I had to do more was one day the children were all playing on the trampoline, screaming and yelling. There were chickens running around the horses' feet. There was a quad bike in the background. And here were my horses peacefully and happily grazing without even raising a head. They were just at ease. And I thought, yes, it's time to. And what I was learning from the woman that I had already started speaking to, and I'd been to visit another woman who was doing a similar thing with horses, but with anyone needing counselling. She was doing a similar thing. And I went to her and I said, I'm a counsellor, I'm not a horse person. And she said, don't ever let anyone tell you you're not good enough. She said, if your heart is in the right place and you keep on learning, you can do it. Don't ever let anyone make you feel bad that you're not classically trained in horses.
Well, that's such good advice.
Plan. Yeah. I'm really grateful to her for what she said, because my idea was that the horses needed to be able to freely relate to the person, not as a servant, not as trying to make the horse obedient, but as an equal partner in therapy. Because when horses are doing their job, and I've seen this in some riding schools and riding programs that I approached before I realised I could do it myself, was that the horse is not really there and interacting. The horse was just doing its job. It was the carrier of the person, and it was giving. It's a great thing for that person.
Yeah.
But the horse had no agency, and so I'd seen that our own pet horse Clark, when freely interacting with my son, there was something magic in it.
Yeah.
That's
amazing.
Yeah.
So then, going in more into the off the track. So all of the horses that are part of your program now, you take off the track?
Yes, that's right.
How did that relationship build with off the track horses? And I know that, a lot of the time they get a bit of bad press for being a bit flighty or hot or highly strung. And yet I was so thrilled when I heard that you use them as your part of your program, because it really shows the extreme other side of thoroughbreds.
Sorry, you broke up then.
Oh, yeah, no, sorry. I was just saying, how did you start integrating them into your program? Because normally people think of them as being quite hot horses, and yet here you are sort of showing the extreme other side of their abilities.
Yes. So that was the whole coming together of the program. That was a personal thing. Many people these days have heard, that horses, once off the track, where do they go and what happens to them? And so if you care about horses, you have that natural interest as well. And from my previous experience, I already knew these horses have a heart that is willing and they want to work. And if they're just given the right environment, magic can happen. So that was a personal want, and my belief is that if given the right environment, these horses can make that magic. So really it's us humans that need the work, us.
Yeah. And so
we need more of that work, because lots of these off-track horses, they end up being sold or given away to people. How I started, a mum with a bit of spare time for a hobby, but having no real experience. The mum just wants a horse she can get on and ride in her hour or two spare away family. But then with that lack of experience, what expectation are you going to get out of that horse? So me being involved in this part is to send a clear message that these horses can and should be retrained. And just like people, we all want a second chance, don't we?
Yep, absolutely. And so going off of that, what have you found to be the best environment then for them when they come off the track and they start their re-education process?
Low expectations at first, both of the horse and of yourself. They need time to let down. They need time to be a horse again. So they should be in a natural herd environment as much as possible. Many people can't provide that, but as much as possible to be a horse, to let go of old and bad habits. And that's what we should do as the owner as well. So I do want to encourage that mum that has time for a hobby to go for it with an off-track horse, but get help for yourself. Don't just think, I used to ride when I was a teenager. The horse is broken to saddle, because all of that, those hopes and even our fears, we're projecting into that relationship with that horse.
Yeah.
That horse can and does want to be your willing partner. But if we educate ourselves, you're going to get the partner out of that horse that you want. You will, but you have to be patient.
Yeah, 100% agree. Like all of my off the tracks, they'll come here and they'll spell for, ideally about 6 months just so they can let down, be a horse again, have that paddock time. And they really come back into it completely different horses than what you started with, just from doing nothing with them.
Yes, and working on that relationship first. People are so keen, and you see it even in the participants that come to our program. Mm-hmm. In our first session with them, we literally teach them how to say hello to a horse properly.
Yeah.
Because there is a way of initiating a relationship, and that's even between people, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely.
We don't often just go up to a stranger and hug them and go, "Oh, wow, you're amazing. I want to be your..." It's the same with a horse. If we give that horse the opportunity to know that we respect it, then the reaction you're going to get is going to be completely different than if you just go, "Come on, I'm going to ride you and I'm going to show you how it's done and I'm going to be the boss." Because most of us were taught as children to be afraid of horses. Like I still get people coming in going, "Don't walk around the back of the horse, it will kick you." And while safety first is important, we need to be engaging our present environment awareness.
Yeah.
Not many horses will just kick you if you walk around the back of them, but that's what we're bringing into that interaction.
It's all about that sort of energy, isn't it? About what you can visualize normally ends up happening.
Yes, directing that energy, being present and aware in that, and giving your horse the opportunity to come out of their fear, because as we all know, they are prey animals.
Yeah.
And we are the predator. So I would encourage anyone that go for your off-track thoroughbred, go for your off-track standard bred, give them 6 months to build a relationship with you. Don't ride them. Do groundwork with them, play games with them, build a real friendship, and then you will have a friend for life in an off-track horse.
Absolutely. And so you were saying before that all of the horses you bring into this program, they go through a 6-month training period?
Yes.
Yeah. What does that entail normally?
So we want them to have basic ground manners, which we don't want them to crowd our space. We don't want them to have an over-the-top startle reflex. We want them to be able to stop on command, so either woo or stop. They need to be able to back up. They need to be able to walk when we ask them to walk, or that's what the children are taught, for their horse to move. And we want them to be responsive to our cues for them to turn. Yeah. Those are the first and most immediate ones. They need to pass a disposition test, which entails not startling too quickly. But that takes time as well. We've got a new horse at the moment, Boots. He's been with us 3 weeks, and he still has a strong startle reflex when a farm tractor goes along the road. Okay. So we don't have to do anything fancy. We just have to let him know that when that happens, he is okay, because we don't train by punishment. We train through modelling, which is him observing the rest of the herd and how they respond. Yeah. So in these situations, the horses are in their working area, and the farm tractor will go past, and the goal for him at the moment is to just stand still when it goes past rather than startling and running out. So we don't force him to be tied up. He can come and go out of that working space as he pleases. Yeah. And they need to have curiosity. So those are the basics that the horse must have in the 6 months before they're then allowed to join the rest of the herd in working with people. Okay. And from there, they learn about safe movement. They learn about standing still if a child grabs their leg or stims or has a seizure. The horse needs to be able to stand still when you walk underneath its belly or crawl underneath its belly. They They need to be able to be pushed on. They need to be able to deal with novel stimulus. We do things in the program like painting them, their feet and their bodies. That's the sound of a spray can, having fancy dress clothes put on them, water being washed, maybe the child turns the hose on too quickly. Just dealing with novel stimulus and knowing that they are okay.
Yep.
And this is all actually really simple. If they trust the herd leader, they're human, these things will come very easily.
Yeah. Yep. No, completely agree. And when you're looking at horses to bring into the program, do you have prerequisites when you sort of look for off-the-track horses?
Yes, I still get help for this. I trust this part. At the end of the day, I have the final say, but I still trust our on-the-ground trainer. So they need to pass just a basic disposition that if you approach them, that they have no negative behaviours towards you, no flattening of the ears, no aggressive behaviour. They need to be curious about people.
Yeah.
Some shyness is fine. So, for example, we found one horse who the trainer said, he's too shy to work with people. And I said, you're wrong. I said, he's going to be amazing and he's going to be perfect for the children that are sensory avoidant, because this is a horse that will never come forward into a sensory avoidant child's space. And luckily for me, I was right. And he is amazing with these children. And that's the magic I live for, seeing these people join up with their therapy horse in those ways. The horse can sense how they're feeling from 50 yards away, they and the horse wants to be there for the person.
Yeah. And what sort of age groups and heights and sizes do you look for in particular, or is it just a variety and whichever horse has the temperament that suits the bill?
Yeah, it's the temperament primarily. Okay. My 9-year-old daughter keeps begging us to find a white mare.
It's very specific.
Okay, that's a pretty tall order. They're all browns and they're all geldings.
Yep.
So we're open to any height, any colour, but the disposition has to be there. They have to be genuinely curious about people.
Okay. Yeah, great. And then so going more in depth into the program. So I'm sure it's different for every child that comes along, but generally what would a first session look like? And do you find that different children are naturally drawn to different horses, or do you pair them up? How does it work?
Yes, so we have the herd are all tied in our barn. The participant comes in and we will introduce the participant to each horse individually.
Oh, wow.
You will, and this is beautiful to watch, because you will see that the participant naturally gravitates to one horse more than all the others, and that horse, the horse gravitates to them too.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Effectively, they pick each other.
Yeah.
And that participant will then work with that horse for the entire program, only that horse. So they effectively have their own therapy horse.
Yeah.
And they build a relationship with that horse, doing activities that promote gross and fine motor skills, communication skills, school readiness skills. It teaches them about communication does not have to be through words, because that is obviously a huge challenge. And even for people, neurotypical people, a lot of people struggle with communication and building relationships. And so we go back to the bare basics of teaching how a horse communicates, and we can notice nonverbal cues like that in humans too. So we don't have to be so afraid of social situations, because those cues are always there. And there's no better therapy partner than a horse to teach that, because they're completely accepting, completely non-judgmental, and completely present in that situation. Any feedback they give is honest, because as humans, we go into our interactions, we have expectations. We want to meet our needs. We want to meet our wants. So we will behave in ways that aren't entirely truthful to achieve those things. But horses don't do that.
Yeah.
Horses just what they show you, that's how it is.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
That honesty is such a good foundation of trust, and therefore the best therapy environment there is. It's magic.
Mm-hmm. And it's all a non-writing program, so it's all groundwork. Do you find that there's no real need to go into the writing side of things, that it's more to do with that body language and the relationship and the communication?
Yes, yeah. You can tell, like when we get inquiries, you can tell that some of the parents or carers or the organisations are surprised about that, that we're non-writing. But once they begin the program, the satisfaction they get in what comes out of that is more than enough. And they've had the opportunity to see that a horse is a sentient being.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Not just our servant, and that sentient being can teach us so much.
Yeah.
And that is more than satisfying enough, you know. And there are those great programs out there. So one of our participants at the moment, he's doing our program at the same time that he's doing Writing for the Disabled program.
Yeah.
So he's getting that movement and that core control out of riding the horse with them. And then he's coming to us and learning about, well, that horse communicates to me all the time. And that horse is telling me things about myself and about himself. So in that first session, they will pick that therapy partner that they then build that friendship with, and we will then go and get a stethoscope, and the participant will listen to their new friend's heartbeat. And just you only need to be around horses about 15 minutes, don't you, before you start feeling relaxed. And most people don't know why, but it's because our nervous system, our autonomic nervous system, is training itself slower to be in sync with a horse. Like their heart only beats between 30 to 40 beats per minute. Okay. So they all come out of here completely relaxed, completely, you know, it's like they're here and they're present, which is very hard for people on the spectrum. So we're giving them a skill that they can take into their everyday life, because it's a pretty tough world out there, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, for sure. And just out of curiosity, do you ever find a participant would choose a horse and then it's not quite the right match, or they always just seem drawn to the right horse for them?
They always seem drawn to the right horse. There's only been one time when a little boy, 5 years old, he picked a horse different than what I would have picked for him and what I thought was going to happen. And he ended up turning into this. He picked a horse that we always see gets paired with children that are sensory seeking. Okay. And so this horse was, at the beginning, he struggled a bit, because this horse will nudge you. This horse will ask for affection. This horse will get up in your business. And he ended up, he was so quiet, and he ended up turning into this really chatty, lovely boy. He still comes. Wow. And so that was something unexpected, but that's been the only time the horse we can completely trust to show us. And he
just knew what he needed. And
yeah.
So how many horses are part of your team at the moment?
We've got 5 at the moment. We can take one more, and we're going to sit with that herd for 2 years, because we're gathering data, we're gathering observations with the goal that we can replicate this program through other allied health organisations throughout Australia. What started happening was that not just people on the spectrum, but disability services organisations started contacting us and wanting to know if we would work with adults or just with people with anxiety or people with depression. So we not long ago moved premises for the purpose that we can now do that. And we still get inquiries from all over Australia saying, I wish you had your program where I am. And so that's our goal. We're taking a lot of obs at the moment on the herd that we've got, so that it's consistent observations, and so that we can look at that data in a couple of years and go, okay, if we're going to replicate this program, what does that mean? What do we need to do? And you imagine the ability for off the track horses all over Australia to be retrained and engaged like this. How powerful is that?
It is, and it also gives hope for, maybe the ones that have retired with a tendon injury that, aren't going to go off and be the next world-beating event horse. But it gives, so much more purpose for a huge variety of horses as well. So,
yes, yeah. How exciting is that? Because most people are aware of these horses can end up in not good circumstances and situations. And just because that horse got hurt doesn't mean he can't be something amazing, just like me. We all feel that way. Yeah. I could do that too. So we want to motivate people from all walks of life to not only, for our horse people to consider that should be their next horse, but also people in general. Like, everyone deserves another chance.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it really almost puts everything into perspective that if these horses can be part of a program like yours, that there's no real reason why, like the mum that wants to have a horse that jumps on and rides, why they can't train their own horse to be like that. That it just takes time and the right guidance, and it's not impossible, and it's not a pipe dream, and it just makes it so much more available then for these horses to be able to go into a huge variety of homes instead of just sort of, the horse people that know how to ride already.
Yes, I love that. I love that you said, because there's so many of us mums out there like that.
Yeah.
And like anyone,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. And the bond that you can build on the ground with them if it takes time. But there's just, I guess, an idea out there that everyone wants to be out competing and they put pressure on themselves to get on. And even, I know a lot of people, if I get a horse off the track, they'll be like, well, have you ridden it yet? And it's like, well, no. He's just chilling in the paddock for a while and he'll eventually come into work and do something. But when he's ready, there's no rush.
Yeah.
So
yeah. And when we're ready too, it's just a matter of re-education, isn't it? I suppose it's
for sure.
Yeah.
And in growing the business, you've got a mail out program as well. So how does that work?
So we send out a package in the mail that will have, for example, the buckles of horse blankets and their clips. So the child will have, that's one of our fine motor skills. Mm-hmm. And there'll be other activities inside that mail out pack. And then for their program, we will video in by the parents' preferred, whether that's most of the time it's been messenger. Mm-hmm. They also and it can be live or it can be pre-recorded, because some of these children can't sit still and focus long enough. Yeah. So we will do a number of short videos that focuses on each skill that the parent identifies they want to work on. Mm-hmm. Because even though the program is a general program for everybody, we also individualise it depending on their goals. So, for example, one parent's goal will be her son keeps running away. So we're working on his magic word so that he won't run across the road without her. And that magic word being stop. So we did a video walking along with a horse talking about how is our therapy going. Oh, Whiskey's working on stop, and we stop, and the horse stops too. So it gives the child the message, the horse, my friend, is working on the same skill that I'm working on. If the horse can do it, I can do it. Mm-hmm. Me and my horse are working on the skill together, and I feel supported and I can do this in my everyday life.
Yeah, that's great. And it's great that you've been able to provide a program that is available Australia-wide until you get up and running in each individual state, because it sounds like it's been so beneficial for these children.
Yeah, thank you.
So that's great. And you've got a open day coming up. So unfortunately you're based all the way over in WA, so I'm not going to be able to visit, but it sounds great. What have you got planned for it?
We're doing a ribbon cutting ceremony with our Member of Parliament.
Oh, wow.
Shane MLA will be coming to do that. Yep. We'll be having a program demonstration with a video of basically how the program works. Mm-hmm. Then there'll be a bouncy castle for the kids while their parents, ask questions to our team. We're having some finger foods, some tea and coffee, basically a really nice meet the team, meet the herd. This is what we do. So yeah, hopefully that'll be a nice spring morning, and we'll let the wheat belt know we're here, because the wheat belt needs this more than the wheat belt. You know, obviously with all the inquiries, Australia needs this on riding. Yeah, relation. Definitely. It's a bit overwhelming and exciting at the same time.
Yeah,
but yeah,
it sounds fantastic what you're doing, and I love that you've got big plans to come and that it's growing for you. Do you have anything else in the works at the moment, or is it's just slowly rolling out that Australia-wide program?
Yeah, we'd like to deliver it Australia-wide. So at the moment, we're just really focusing on getting the word out there, what we do, why it's different, why it's an innovation, and what you can achieve out of that for any participant, not just children on the spectrum, but people with challenges in their everyday living.
Yeah, because I know that they do a lot of programs, or they've started to with especially military personnel that have PTSD, and I think people are really starting to see the benefits of horses for mental health and what they can do.
Yes, and it's and hopefully, because some amazing people are doing some amazing things out there, and because all the research on it is fairly new and it's a new modality, we know that it takes a while for people to accept that, you know, this is actually, not only does this work, but it's really a breakthrough. It's really, so we've got a lot of work to do.
Yeah. Oh, that's very exciting. And if people want to find out more information about what you're doing, where can they find you, online or social media?
Yes, all of the above. Our website's autismhorsesaustralia.com.au. We're on Instagram at Autism Horses, Facebook Autism Horses Australia, and I am very available to take phone calls or return them if we're in session. Yeah, as you could probably tell, I could talk underwater about it, so thank you.
Oh, no, I love listening about anything off the track related, and especially when they're able to give back and help so much as well. I think it's a brilliant thing, and I think it was really great that you gave an off the track horse a chance to be part of this, so that they could show you what they could do, because it is something very different compared to what they're normally perceived as being good at. So.
Yes. That's actually a goal of mine. I want therapy horses to be recognised as an actual discipline.
Yeah.
That would be cool. That would be really cool.
Absolutely. And just the things, you know, it's so, from their first career as a racehorse and what they go through at the track, it sounds like a completely different job for them to do. But just thoroughbreds in general, like, they try so hard at everything they do. Well, most of them do anyway. And it's great to see them excelling in something like this. And it would be even more exciting if long term you could use more of them Australia-wide, so that they did have that purpose.
Yeah, that will always put a smile on my face thinking about that. I hope that does happen.
And are you getting much time to ride yourself these days with everything you've got going on?
I've actually, we have a volunteer program, and one of my volunteers is absolutely wonderful with my children who are homeschooled. And so she has taken to sitting at my house and playing with them while I go off and ride my horses. So
that's all right.
That's
great. Well, thank you so much again for taking the time out. I know you've got heaps going on, but to have a chat about what you're doing with them, and I'd love to stay in touch and see how the program grows, and follow all these different off-the-track horses and their stories of how they progress into being therapy horses.
Awesome. Thanks, Kate. Thanks for your amazing platform to be able to do that, and you know that. Yeah, thank you. No. I'll stay in touch and let you know how we're going along.
Yeah, you're very welcome. Thanks for your time.